So, good afternoon, everyone. I would like to welcome you here at the Prague Pride, and I would like to welcome you to another Mezipatra event at the Prague Pride. We are very happy to be here, thanks to Kasarna Karlín and thanks to the Prague Pride. I have here a very special guest tonight. It's Leonie Krippendorff, the director and scriptwriter of the film that we will later see tonight. Leonie Krippendorff did her secondary education as a photo designer, and afterwards she was an independent photographer for some time. Between 2009 and 2016, Leonie studied directing at the Film and TV College Konrad Wolf in Potsdam-Babelsberg. Her graduation film and feature debut was Looping. Looping was nominated for some awards and also won awards at film festivals abroad. And her debut was dealing with the topic of three young women in a psychiatric clinic. The journey of her second feature film, Cocoon, was beginning in 2018 at the Berlinale Script Station, and in 2020 Cocoon opened the Generation 14 Plus section at the Berlinale, and it was also, we were so happy to acquire it for the Czech Republic, and I would like to welcome Leonie here tonight. Hello.
Thanks for having me.
So, Leonie, I mentioned that you actually originally studied photography. I would like to ask you about how did you find the way to photography, and how did you connect to that, and you were a photographer for some time, so if you can talk a little bit about that.
Well, I wasn't a photographer for a very long time because I kind of found film through the photography. Because I didn't finish school, because I was a very bad student. I had problems to concentrate and stuff, and so I decided to become a photographer because I always loved to take photographs. And during the studies of photography, I always felt like something is missing. So I felt like I was looking at my pictures and I liked them, but I wanted to put like stories and music to them. And so that was like the first, the first moment where I thought that maybe making films would be something that I would enjoy very much. And yeah, that's why I then applied for film university, and for me it was a good decision. Yeah.
And you chose directing. Was it the first choice, or were you thinking also about other choices in the film university?
I was thinking about also applying for a camera, so DOP studies, but I kind of really wanted to tell my own story, so I felt stronger for directing because I always knew that I want to write the stories that,
And during your studies, you made some short films, maybe some short films also after your studies. How was it working for you with short films and with the short film structure? How were you working with it, and what were the themes that you were interested in?
I feel like it's really other kind of thinking. Like if you want to make a short films, like it's really something that also has to fit to you as a filmmaker. And I liked it, but I was always longing very much to my first feature, because I always felt like I want to have like more time and like dive very deep into like the atmosphere and the scenery, and have a story developing very slowly. And in short film you kind of always have to get to the point very fast, and that didn't yeah, I'm fascinated by people who can do that very well, but I felt like it's not me. I'm very much like longing to do. I was longing to do features. Yeah.
It's a very different thing. It's a very different thing to master, right? With short films and with good short films.
Yeah.
At Mezipatra we have every year a huge short film selection. We have like 7 programs, and I'm always fascinated by how the filmmakers can actually tell such great stories in such a short time. Right?
Yeah, definitely. So I think I didn't manage that so well. So I mean, I had some short films that I loved a lot, but it always felt like a trailer for the film I actually want to do. So yeah.
And what were the themes of the films, of the short films that you shot?
My first short film was also a queer topic. It was a short documentary about a guy who was having like a usual, like, how do you say, like a life in very strict order in Germany. So like he always did what people expected from him. And then after his wife died, he like wanted to be a woman and wanted to be a slave, but he didn't, like, he first just went to parties, but then he wanted to be that in real life. So he always wanted to be a slave for someone else in real life, and he was trying to find a relationship that works like that, and was always failing because everyone he met just wanted to like meet him for certain nights, but didn't want to really like build that couple with him for like, yeah, everyday life. So yeah, that was very intense. And then the second one was my first feature. That was about a girl living in Berlin and being like very lost in the city and trying to look for herself, meeting another woman, being fascinated, but like basically just like not knowing what she wants in life, and yeah, and just like this feeling of living in Berlin. Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more about the studies that you did. How was it? Did you, during your studies at the film university, did you actually find your crew that you may be working with still, or how was it for you?
Yeah, well, I had one DOP, her name is Jin Yi, that I have been doing like all my projects with her in university, and we also did looping together, my first feature film, but we kind of needed a break, so it was a bit getting too emotional, and so we took a break with Cocoon, and that was a good decision because I also missed her very much as like a working partner, so we're definitely gonna do some projects together again, yeah.
So you mentioned Looping, your first feature film, and I already mentioned that the theme of the film was about 3 young women in a psychiatric clinic, which is a very interesting choice, and I would like to ask you, how did you actually develop the story, and what was the inspiration for that?
Well, it was like 2 parts of like my life. I was in a psychiatric clinic when I was pretty young for a while, and I went to a lot of like therapy programs, but they didn't really help me. But I met 2 other women there that, and we got very close for the time when we have been there, and that we very much supported each other, and that kind of gave us a healing. So that was like one story I wanted to tell, like just being healed through the support of other women. And then also I have been in a relationship by that time with 2 other women, so I also wanted to kind of share some of those feelings, to be more than two person in a relationship. And it was a very intuitive project, so it's something out of my life, but it's really not autobiographical, so it was just the inspiration to write something that has like parts that feel like my experiences, but there's not one experience I made like so but it was beautiful. I just have been very much working out of my stomach, and
maybe I would like to ask our audiences if you can just raise your hand if you have seen the film Cocoon already. So there are some quite people that already saw it. So I'm looking forward if you want to join the discussion later and ask about the film or tell your experience with the film, how you liked it. So we will be very happy to have you active in the discussion. And maybe let's go to Cocoon now, the film that will be later screened tonight. What was the first point where you thought of this film? What was the initial thought? What did you want to do?
The initial thought or feeling was to tell a story about a young, a coming-of-age story about a young girl growing up in Berlin, but very physical, because I felt like most of the coming-of-age films, or all the coming-of-age films I saw, didn't really tell me when I was young something about my body developing. I kind of want to tell a beautiful story, but which kind of tells about how also frightening it can be to become a woman when you're a girl. And so that was my first my first impulse. So then the first scene I wrote was the scene between the main protagonists, Nora and Romy. Nora gets her period for the first time in sport classes, and Romy, the other one, they don't know each other by that time, comes and washes out the blood, the period blood of her pants, and is helping her out. And I really liked this emotion between the two girls, and I didn't know so much about that. I also imagined that they could be just friends, but then somehow the characters developed on their own legs, and then later on I decided that they should fall in love. Also because I figured out that in Germany there's no film about two schoolgirls falling in love with each other, which I found very strange to figure out. I feel like there are very little queer films in Germany, and but the love is just one part. I think it's not the center for me. The center is more Nora developing and getting stronger over one summer.
Also, I would say that the theme of sisterhood is very much present in the film on so many layers. If you can talk a little bit about that, maybe if it's also coming from your personal experience, or if you just wanted the life of the protagonists to be enriched with these strong relationships with their peers.
Yeah, I don't have a sister, but I think I always kind of wish to have a sister, because I've always observed very beautiful relationships between two sisters, and very intense and very special, and this one relationship that you can only have with a sister. So I kind of felt like I want to just get my head into that, and with making films, maybe the most beautiful part is that you can experience also for yourself so many feelings and situations that you haven't had in your life and you will never have. So I had a sister for the process of writing the script, and that was very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it's very nice how the sisters support each other. You know, when you talk about sex, or when you talk about discovering bodies, etc., you also have to talk about relationships, right? Because it always, you know, you have the relationships to yourself and your body, and the relationship to others. How was discovering of this topic in the film? Because Romy was kind of, you know, a lead for the other protagonist. How did you develop that?
I kind of wanted to have because Nora, in the beginning of the film, she really doesn't know who she is, and she doesn't know where to go, and she kind of doesn't have an example in her life that kind of fits to her character. So she's she's a bit of a loner, and she's spending much time with her sister and the best friend of her sister, and they are very different and from Nora. And I wanted to have another character that she can look up and that can help her to develop in her own direction. And because I think Nora doesn't really develop in Rumi's direction, but she helps her on the way of kind of finding herself a bit more. And yeah.
And my maybe favorite protagonist of the film is the mother, because she is so well written, and she, even though she's an alcoholic and she's not at home a lot, she's spending the nights at bars, and she's not looking properly after the girls. I felt that she is at the same time present in the film, and that she is that she actually has a relationship to the girl. How was the writing and the developing of this character?
Yeah, I was very afraid of telling this typical alcoholic mother that is just negative and doesn't take care good enough of her children and stuff. And because I felt this woman is also longing for so much freedom and had a really wild life, but probably some things happened that put her on a place where she didn't dream of, and so she's drinking too much to put herself in her feelings of freedom again, and that of course has also a negative effect on her daughters, because she's not the best caretaker. But actually Nora is longing for freedom as well, so they kind of secretly have the same topic in life. And it's a bit more tragic with the mother, because she kind of is just living to the past. So she is just in the bars, but thinking about the times when she has been in the future. And so I wanted her to be very understandable, but people react different on her. Some hate her, and I think that's also good, that you have your own experiences, and yeah.
In Czech, actually, we named the film Let of Kreuzbergu, because Kreuzberg is it's so important. The place is so important for the film, and maybe it's also important for you. And it's a place of mixture of culture, mixture of so many different people. If you can tell us a little bit more why you chose this particular neighborhood.
Yeah, well, I grew up in Berlin, and I haven't been growing up at Kotti, but I did spend a lot of time in this in Berlin pretty famous outside pool. I kind of grew up there. I was there every summer, every I kind of wanted to just show the world there, and it's a very like diverse universe and very very colorful. There's a lot of there's a big queer scene as well. Then very many cultures are living together on this spot. It's also like a high crime spot, so there are people who kind of don't want to go there and avoid to go there by train and change there and get robbed there. So it's kind of a just very interesting area, and I wanted to show a girl who's growing up there without being, because I feel like in a tough environment you always see tough people growing up there, and I wanted to show like a soft character growing up in a tough world and having her own strategies to survive there.
Yeah. And of course, not losing the truth to yourself, who you really are, and at the same time maybe grow up in an environment that is so much different, right?
Yeah, so it was very much also like my memories of my own childhood, but also I was interested how the life of the young teenagers nowadays changed, because it's such another generation, like growing up with social media and everything. And so I also did a lot of like street research and talked to the young people, and also like all the boys in the film are like street casted, so they do live directly in the house or close by. And they gave me like a very good inside look how it also feels to grow up at that place now. So yeah.
Perfect. Do any of the audiences want to join the discussion? Do you have any questions or remarks?
Thank you. It's very nice to hear.
If you haven't seen it, watch it.
Yeah, actually, this is such a strong statement. Do you have many women or many girls that approached you maybe after? Because I know, of course, the journey of the film was so much different because of the situation that we were in. And that maybe you couldn't travel as much with the film, but at the same time you had some online experience, etc. How was the journey, and how were the reactions to the film that you were getting?
Yeah, so it was really a shame that we had like Cocoon traveled a lot, like over 60 international film festivals, but only online, so it was always like this online discussion. Some of them have been very emotional, some have been, you felt like there's too much, like it's another feeling, like that the discussions kind of, if it's online, it can be a bit like in a distance, like, so you feel the distance between, yeah. But some have been very, very nice, and that was also a strange feeling to like be so touched by the things that the audience like shared, like how they felt when they saw the film, and then being alone in the dining room, like just closing the computer, and so yeah. But it was a very interesting journey till now. Yeah.
But it's such a pity that we didn't have the opportunity to share actually the feelings in the screening halls together so much. But yeah.
Yeah.
So we touched upon this, that the film was very internationally successful. You mentioned it was screened at 60 international film festivals. How was the journey, or how is the journey of the film at home in Germany?
It came to cinemas in last summer, and that was like very, of course, limited seats and stuff. But I was very touched because I felt like there were like so many people coming in the cinema with the mask and stuff and staying for like a long discussion afterwards, although it was so hot outside and everyone was so insecure about the pandemic and being in a room with other people and stuff. And I kind of was really touched that you could feel how much people have been longing for being inside cinemas again and having like this cultural life back. And so it was very like small in kind of how many people saw the film, but it was very beautiful because it really gave like a special feeling to having a film coming out in a pandemic.
And you are now a very acclaimed director already, and you were named by many international papers as being the person to watch, and everyone is so excited about Cocoon. I wanted to ask you maybe a little bit what was the point that you felt you are a director? Because it's such a tough role, you know, you are leading the whole film, and you are also the scriptwriter, so you actually, you know, are the soul of the film, and everyone is depending on you. For me, it's such an, you know, unbelievably hard thing to imagine. What was the journey of becoming a director, and when were you sure that you are a director, you know?
Well, I think I'm still not sure if I am a director, because I feel like I do things very much out of my stomach, and that always gives me like on one side a lot of strength to very strongly believe in what feels right for me, but at the other hand very many insecurities, because I sometimes can't really verbalize what I really strongly believe is right. And so I think what like takes away some insecurities is just the experience that my decisions have been right sometimes, and that I can trust myself. And of course that helps then if you have a film that is like successful international, then you can believe more in yourself, but it's still such a vulnerable process to make films that are so personal, and you know, like, so I think and I also think that it's good to stay vulnerable and to have insecurities, because I think this is, you know, what also gives the characters a life and makes them like more touchable and more real. And
I have been on some film sets in my life, and after you know, when we were shooting some of the trailers for the festival, etc. And for me it was always such a stressful event that I never wanted to go through again, because there is so much that is going wrong all the time, and there is so much stress around, etc. How do you handle the film scene?
well, I don't know, not so well. But I think it's always just that if you want something so much and if you're so emotional like for something, then you kind of you kind of survive in the very also hard conditions. But I was talking to a friend, she's a director too. Her name is Lisa Miller, I don't know if you... And she's on a film set for a rather big series now, and she was telling me, okay, so she has like a horrible tinnitus that she sometimes can't understand people. The other director there too, he has like, he's always touching his heart because he has like pain. And the DOP, he sometimes can't see anymore. So she was like, this can't go on like this, can it? And I was like, yeah, I don't know. So I kind of really hope that the conditions in making films are changing, because there must be a way to, you know, like have a strong like emotion to a project, but still be someone who wants to sleep and wants to be healthy and stuff. So, well, I don't know. But
I know that you had very hard conditions shooting Cocoon, actually, because you very beautifully incorporated it in the final film, that it was the hottest summer in Berlin that everyone remembers for the last, I don't know, 50 years or 100 years. How did it influence the shooting, this incredible heat?
yeah, it was really hard, because we had like this, we have been shooting in this very small flat, so we have been like sometimes 50 people in like a 50 square meter flat. It was 40 degrees inside, and we tried to get like this, how do you say, air conditioner, but they was sold out in Berlin. So we were like, oh God, how can we survive? But somehow it was also special, because it was so, like everyone felt their bodies so much. So it was really like, if you are sweating so much and you're like this extreme heat, it also is like a very intense feeling, and it somehow did fit so much to like Nora and her development with her body and her intense feeling of her body. And so I think it had an impact on the film, and I can also like see it in the eyes of the actresses, like they're always like so exhausted and tired, so you can kind of feel the heat. And so
definitely, and I completely agree that, you know, it's so you can feel it in the film so much that it was influenced by this condition, and that you really feel like in the hottest part of summer. And also, when you were writing the film, you were already mentioning that you were actually talking to young people, and I think that you were also working with the actresses on some parts, or maybe developing the characters a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit more about the experience? And you know, it's not maybe so common that this is happening. So why was it important to you to develop the characters with the actual actresses? And how was the process?
well, I did develop the main characters. I didn't really I developed myself, but like with all the like boyfriends and stuff, like all the boys you see there, I have been like, we made a big street casting, and I've been just talking very much with the actors who then played the roles, and they have been a very great corrector for the script, because like sometimes I did write something in the script that I wouldn't do like that or wouldn't say like that, and so they always like helped me with finding the right words, and also we like had a lot of improvisation like during rehearsal, and I kind of found the scenes there. So I had like a structure of the scene, and then we've been improvisating a lot, and I just would like note down what I liked and then write a new scene, and I rehearsed it again and stuff. So we kind of found the scene together, and they had like they could just like be themselves, but they always had a character. So it was like very much their life experiences, but it wasn't themselves. So they had like the security to really let go of it and not showing themselves. And that was very valuable to me. Like it was really a very interesting process. And with the main characters, I just were very lucky with Leonie Krippendorff, who plays Nora. She was very precise with everything. Like, so she would like, with every movement of the character, she wanted to know. So we did rehearsal how she walks. She knew everything about the character. She knew what's her favorite food. She knew, like, I don't know, like what she's doing, what's the first thing what she's doing in the morning or whatever. Like when she wakes up, she did all that. She knew if she's a type of person who, when she's in love, she would eat or not. Like, would she have like, you know, be hungry or wouldn't want to eat anything. And so she kind of really knew everything, and we did build that together. And I think that was very important for both of us, because we kind of have been coming very close to the character. And yeah.
I would like to give floor to any of the audiences if you have any remarks or any questions.
Yeah, I have one question. You said that the film was on more than 60 festivals, and I wanted to ask about if you can say what part of these festivals were queer film festivals, and if the film is also seen by let's say normal film festivals, or the audience is mainly queer or LGBT plus.
I don't really have the overview. There were a lot of queer film festivals. I would say maybe half, something like that. There were also some festivals for young people, which I also found very interesting to like have young audience, because I felt when the film was distributed in Germany, I didn't see so many young people in the cinemas, because I think like an art house coming of age film is also like for older people still interesting, because they have like this melancholic view on the past. And so yeah, that was also exciting for me. And yeah, I think half maybe. Yeah.
Maybe we can confirm this story with the case from the Czech Republic, because actually the film was first shown at a majority film festival and then first at Mezipatra, because we were too late to book it. But we loved it so much anyways that we needed to have it. So yeah. Any other questions? Can you maybe speak up or come closer, please?
You were saying it was either civil and just queer. So I want to ask, how do the audience of queer accept it? Is it like something?
Well, I think that the queer love story isn't so. It is an important part of the film, but it's not the most dominant one. So I actually felt like queer and not queer audience would react the same way, because I think they felt more connected to like the journey of like finding yourself, like being young, being insecure, and becoming like more and more the person that you are, and also like it were women and men who reacted on that strongly. Like I had a lot of very emotional reactions from men, because they had so much empathy with the main character, and they felt like, you know, having exactly the same feelings, or like having had the same feelings when they were young, and yeah, so yeah.
Maybe I can add a little bit from a film festival director's perspective. I feel, you know, we sometimes encounter films that have a queer main story, but at the same time, the film is telling a universal story about people, and you know, that is interesting for just anyone that sees it. We also show films that are maybe more focused on queer audiences, but I think that Cocoon, for us at least, it was this kind of film that we felt has a universal story to it, and is really enriching for anyone who sees it. Yeah.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Maybe I would like to ask you about your last experience, because after Cocoon, recently you were shooting a TV series for major TV in Germany, and it also had a lesbian story to it. But at the same time, you were not the creator of the series. You did not write it. How was the experience of this kind of filmmaking, and how was it different to what you normally do, which is art house cinema?
Yeah, it was very different. I was like at a lonely Italian island during lockdown to write a new script when I got the offer to make the series. And the special thing was that it was like happening everything very fast. Yeah, so it was like the development of the scripts and also shooting were just a couple of months, and I kind of found that very exciting, because I really felt like the world has just stopped, and it's never gonna, like life's never gonna go on. So I found it very interesting to work on this project, and it was interesting and a very valuable experience, but it's still something that I feel doesn't fit so much to me. I was kind of struggling pretty much with the structures of like series and like other people making creative decisions, and like every thought is very much like about the audience and not about the characters, and so that was for me, yeah, a different, like a little bit of reality checks. So that's the real world, but and yeah, it had its positive sides, and it's I'm very fond of the outcome. It's nice and it's emotional and beautiful, and also I got like very emotional reactions on it, but it was a very hard way to come there, because there were so many doubts and fights and stuff, and so yeah, I'm curious how it goes on. I would like to just do art house cinema, but yeah, nobody really knows how that will develop, so we'll see.
And maybe just a short note at the end of our talk, because you were mentioning the developing of your new script on an Italian island, and everyone is maybe excited about your new film. Can you tell us a little bit, maybe some sneak peek of the story that you are preparing?
Yeah, it's a story about an intersexual child who's shortly before puberty and has to decide for one gender, or like gets the pressure to decide for one gender, because it's like the child has like pretty open parents that didn't force the child till now to decide, but you know, like since puberty is coming soon, the child has to kind of find a position or not, and that's the question. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Leonie, it was a great pleasure to talk to you, and we are looking forward to meeting all of you at 9 p.m. at the screening, which will be Stepan, I don't know if outside or inside.
Right now it's planned for outside, but
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Changing any
So,
minute. It's not the hottest summer in Prague right now.
The weather can come with something unexpected, so either outside at the open-air cinema or inside in the garages at the back. We'll be seeing you there. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Leonie, for the talk.
Thank you very much.